Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
It is a cool Tuesday morning, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we didn't slip and say it's a Wednesday because I'm here, but the weather folks are on the line.
That's right. We have Angelia Guy on the line. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm not too bad. The weather is looking tricky, I gotta say, because we were told there's going to be rain. It's not quite showing as yet. What's happening?
Okay, well, we're expecting the rain later this afternoon and evening.
Okay.
Yeah, so for right now, we'll probably have some cloudy spells this morning with isolated or a few showers and isolated thunderstorms, most of the northern and central areas late this morning, and then we should have some showers and thunderstorms develop over inland areas this afternoon and spreading to most areas tonight.
Okay, and what about the winds?
Okay, winds today will be generally from the east at under 10 knots.
Mm-hmm. And is it safe for people to head out to sea with the rains coming in?
For today, yes. We don't expect the rain over the sea until tonight.
Okay.
This evening tonight.
All right. And what about our temperatures?
Okay, temperatures will be on the warm side today, ranging from 88 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 90 inland, and 80 in the hills.
And for tonight?
Okay, tonight the low temperature should fall to about 75 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 71 inland, and 66 in the hills.
Okay. So with that cold front making its way down, bringing the rains, what's the extended forecast looking like?
Okay, well, today we're having activity ahead of the cold front. We expect the cold front to cross late tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow we're expecting cloudy skies with some showers, periods of rain, and a few thunderstorms to occur mostly over southern and central areas.
Okay. And it'll pass over quickly tomorrow?
Quickly, is it?
I mean, how long will we get cool temperatures?
Oh, the cool temperatures. Okay, well, the coolest day should be on Thursday.
All right.
It should continue fairly cool up until the weekend.
Nice. All right. That's some good news.
I know, right?
All right, Angelia, thank you so much for that update.
You're welcome.
You have a great day today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is when you say, you know what, yeah, I'll turn it on my ID. You
I'll
get the
take
good
the
news.
rain.
Yeah, we'll take that as long as it's cool.
Yeah.
We know how it is out there when it's cool in our country. It is a good thing for us. When it's hot, you get blessed with that too. When it's rain, it's the same thing.
Well,
but so far, so good.
Yeah, before we get there, we are expecting some showers, and those should be settling in starting late this evening into tonight and a bit tomorrow. We won't get those cool temperatures till looking like Thursday, right?
Definitely.
So let's start in the present, one day at a time.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus.
Okay. You're moving ahead into the motivation for today, aren't you? So we got to shift gears to our eye opener for today, and our eye opener taken from dailyom.com goes like this. Fun isn't something that is given or done to you. It is something that you allow yourself to experience. As adults, we often get so caught up in grown-up business that we can forget how to have pure fun. This isn't the kind of fun that comes from doing a specific kind of activity or being in a specific mood for fun. Rather, this is the fun born from the state of pure being. You see this kind of fun in small children who are so busy being fully present to their lives and in their own bodies that the glow of fun radiates from them just because they are alive. The delight that flashes across the eyes of a child who discovers that water flows with the turn of the tap knob or the squeal of pleasure from a young baby whose tongue is being tickled by cold ice cream. You can begin this process by reminiscing on what was fun for you as a child. Try to spend a few moments with each memory and really feel what it was like to be in those experiences, allowing that feeling of pure fun to wash over you. It lives in you, that feeling. You just have to call it back up in order to experience it again. Approach your life today with the knowledge that pure fun isn't something that is given or done to you. Rather, it is something that you allow yourself to experience.
Oh, wow. That's taking yourself way, way, way back. You know, because, you know, it's totally right here talking about what fun is. But a lot of people at this particular point, especially for us adults, we can't think about it anymore. It doesn't resonate to us anymore.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that it gave in the body of exactly how you could do that.
Yeah.
You know, you reflect back to what was fun for you. I love the analogies or the stories that are in there in terms of, you know what, when it comes to a child, just looking at the faucet and turning that on,
discovery.
and like, water come out of that thing, water. You know, and it took me back actually to thinking that when you had you're making probably a cart or magnets, you know, magnets, and you put magnet behind something and you put a nail there and you weave it up like, my God, this thing actually, you know, so it really brings to us the fun from back when. It's all a matter of taking yourself back there, and you could feel so good just by thinking of what it was like then.
This is perhaps, I think, a guilt trip for all adults.
Why do you say a guilt trip? Why?
Reading that. No, because we do take ourselves too seriously sometimes, and I think that we do have big responsibilities.
Yeah,
You know, I think
yeah.
parents naturally are worrying about many things.
Yeah.
And you have a whole lot of different pressures. But what I love about it is that it reminds you don't have to seek out a fun activity. And what becomes fun for us after a while, going out, having drinks, seeing friends, conversations. But there were days when just running around the yard like idiots, you know, made you have so much fun. Have you ever seen a child just like jump up and start running around?
Yeah.
And thoroughly enjoying it?
Yeah.
And that's because they just find pleasure in really, really simple things. That's part of the best experience, I think, of really engaging with your children, or any children in your family, if you don't have your own. There's just something about, you know, sometimes it's coloring together, it's riding bikes together, it's playing games outdoors together. And I think that there's just something about it that takes you back to that moment of pure fun.
Yeah.
And we have to challenge ourselves to do it. Because you know what? You sit there and you say, oh, energy it's gonna take. You get older and you think, oh, my knees if I have to chase them, you know. The sun and the heat outside, who wants to sweat?
Yeah.
But it does so much for them.
Yeah.
But it also allows you to take yourself back into that moment where you are having fun just by experiencing a moment. And so, you know, we shouldn't use children, but that's a good way to use them.
Because, you know, as you say that, it also struck me that, you know, learning new things, that is pure fun. Because you're actually learning something new. And I think that that is one of the ways we could always reflect back on things, because giving the analogy of using magnets, you know, that was actually learning new things, and it's science, you know. So when you learn to cook something new, when you learn when you find out something new or learn it, it is actually pure fun. So we don't necessarily have to go to the kids at this time. Just try to find something new. Try to learn something new. And you got Mr. Google right now to show you something new. And just the excitement of putting it together, that actually, it works as therapy as well. What it does for you, it actually take your mind off everything else. Reading instructions and then seeing if you put this so, then this one happens so. And you know, and that's fun. That's a lot of fun. And it's always good to get back into your fun ways. And finding fun ways is actually finding new things, is actually doing new things.
That's right. So try to take the opportunity. The kids are on Christmas break. You got some time coming up with the holiday break. try to find those moments where you can rediscover your own pure fun.
Definitely. Speaking of pure fun, I think one of the fun eras for us, or one of the fun things for me was actually getting my first cell phone. And that to me was fun because you saw people with it, and you wonder like, I wonder what I want to do with one of this. I wonder how
I
it's
don't
gonna
know.
be. I wonder how it's gonna, that was for me. I could remember being
I
all the way
agree.
back in, all the way back in sixth form. This was all the way back in the year 2000, and I saw one of my coworker with a cell phone. I was like, boy, I probably got one cell phone.
Yeah.
That was my mind. Like, how in the world did he get that? And man, and try, dial, and then you could just call somebody. We're so used to going right there on the wall because at the time in Central Farm there was a phone, a phone booth there, and so we're so used to going there, putting in shilling or 2 or 3, and then calling, and then this guy just get my phone and say, right now,
Yeah.
hello, ma, yes, like boy.
No,
So-
it was what I was saying is it's I think our experiences
Yeah.
with cell phones would be completely different from kids today.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that was a novelty then,
Yeah.
it was, and they were big.
They were big at the time. We were talking
They
about it
were
yesterday, like
big.
this.
They were,
Yeah.
they had the ones that were like cordless phones,
Yeah.
and it was a completely different experience because that was like brand new technology.
Brand new technology.
Now
indeed.
it's everywhere.
Yeah, it
The
is.
kids are opening cell phones. They know how to swipe perhaps before they know how to like pick up things.
Pick up things, yeah, hold things the proper way. They know
Yeah,
exactly what to do.
They know how to swipe. Yeah.
And
So it is interesting, and with Christmas coming up, I know a lot of parents feel pressured. A lot of kids have cell phones on their Christmas list. So, and some people say that it's not a luxury, it's a necessity.
it is a necessity, yeah.
But as it becomes a more popular Christmas gift, what is the acceptable age, in your view, to give a child their first cell phone?
Well, you know what?
This is a highly
know.
debated topic.
It is.
Also within households as well.
Yes, and a good question for me because I am a parent. I have a 9-year-old
Who wants a cell phone, right?
She actually wants an iPhone 11 Santa.
Yeah. And she probably has wanted one for years, right?
Yes,
Okay.
she had wanted a phone for years. At this time, she has a phone. She has a phone. We gave her a phone a little after her 8th birthday, and reason for that is because
You're guilty? Is that what
well,
you're saying?
not necessarily. I'm just trying to get myself out of because it is a highly debated topic, like you
Yeah.
mentioned. But why should you give them a phone at that particular age? Folks would ask. That's the question a lot of people would ask.
How did you decide that she could have one?
Very good question. We decided that because we know there are times when, of course, me and my wife, we're at work, and they could be at the daycare. Both children, they could be at the daycare, and at times things would happen because this is not a perfect world.
Yeah.
So we gave it to her so she has the ability to just give us a call or send us a message saying this is what's going on, or if they're afternoon from school going back to the daycare, they're not allowed to take it to school.
Yeah.
Going back to the care center. She could pick that up and say, Mommy and Daddy, this is what I need at this particular time.
Yeah.
Yes, the daycare, they do have their phones and whatnot. But at times she goes to play with her friends, and things could happen.
Yeah.
And so we provided her with that phone, locking up everything else to make sure she has the ability to dial or send a message saying so and so.
So at 9, she got her 8.
At 8 going on 9. At 8
Yeah.
going on 9. Good thing for herself.
Yeah.
She's able to do a lot of stuff. We try our best to teach her a lot of stuff so she's on par.
Yeah.
So that's the only dung part about it is that when she's got the free time,
It's all games.
she
on
has send you
phone.
a message every minute.
When
Daddy.
you get like the non-stop emojis coming
yes.
in.
Daddy, what time will be? We're going out, so like, oh my God, Sky, relax.
Yeah, I guess it's something that, here's the thing. I think it's important that you and your wife discussed it. Because it would have been horrible had you gone
Just
ahead and done it,
give-
or
yeah,
she
give it to her,
gone ahead and done it, and you didn't decide together. Because I think you have to be on the same page about it, and decide how you're going to protect her. Because that's the key thing. You don't want to at any age, expose a child, in my opinion, to something that can potentially cause harm.
Of course.
And it can cause harm if they're venturing into particular things that they shouldn't. You know, they love YouTube, but there are videos on YouTube that they shouldn't see.
They shouldn't see,
If
yeah.
they are on social media, they're opened up to a world that
Yeah.
you no longer are a part of. So I think that these are the things that you have to decide together. And you have to know your child enough to know whether they can handle the responsibility.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I really couldn't say. I know people who wait until high school.
Yeah.
And I know quite a few people who wait until you come out of Standard 6 and then you
You're
get
gonna have
it.
a phone.
Because that's just a different time in your life and you have more responsibilities. I've seen children very young with cell phones. And they barely know how to manipulate it. And, you know, I hope that parents have thought it through. I think the key thing, though, is having that control. We had the people from the Brain Awareness Club on, remember?
Yeah.
And the neurologist came in talking about how literally the exposure to technology is contributing towards the levels of anxiety that we're seeing. The studies are
That's true.
showing now.
That's true.
And tech time or digital time has to come with some kind of limitations as well. So if the phone is going to be given and you have no controls in place, you have no idea what they're going to do with it, then I think you have to be careful.
But of
So it's
course.
like knowing the child, it's having the discussion as parents, and being absolutely sure that they're ready for the responsibility.
Yeah, but you know what? You're totally right in having the discussion as parents, but the conversation should trickle down to the child. I'll tell you why. We sat down with her and we told her exactly what to do and what not to do with a cell phone.
Yeah.
And she totally understands.
Yeah.
Because what you do is that you provide examples for them.
Yeah.
It's not to scare them away. It's for them to understand the situation
Yeah.
and how the world is today. So much so that at times she doesn't even have the phone.
Yeah.
You carry a phone today? No, Dad.
Yeah.
Where is the phone?
And this is a tool that these children
Yeah.
are going to grow up using. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, to each parent their own. I don't know if you could say a definitive time, but you could definitely chime in. When
Yeah, they
did you
could chime
give
in.
your
They could chime
child their first phone? Or when do you think it's a good time? Maybe it's not necessarily tied to age. Maybe it's markers on how much they've matured.
Yeah.
And how responsible they are as well. But let us know your thoughts on that one, especially as the poor parents are debating that phone on that wish list, like, should I, shouldn't I? Help them out and give them some feedback.
Definitely. And this is the reason why I love our country, because there's some folks out there right now saying, John, you picked me only 9. I know. Then there's some folks like 9.
Have you gotten that? Have you had people say that to you?
Of course, yes. There are
Yeah.
people out there who will tell you, and there are folks who are like, 9, you ready for that long time? You know, so that's the way it is. But you're right. You know, we want for you to chime on in on our social media pages and tell us exactly how you feel. All right?
All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today.
Definitely. We've got 3 wonderful segments lined up for you on this lovely Tuesday morning. As a matter of fact, the first segment, we'll be venturing off into a discussion on gillnets, updates on recent decision on the use of gillnets.
The second part of our show, we are going to be joined by representatives of Haven House. Of course, we know that this is a very important institution. They have a fundraiser coming up, and guess what they're going to be doing? They're going to be launching a 2020 mail calendar. So we're going to get all the details about that in the second part of the show.
All right, and in the third segment for this morning, it's actually holiday glam. All the parties are coming up, and you want to look good. Well, we'll have Pixie Faces by Adriani. She'll be in to tell you exactly what to do for your Christmas party.
All right. And you know the deal. We're going to take that break. But before we do, we got that birthday shout out. And today, the happy birthday goes out to
Gayla Lopez. Happy birthday to you, Gayla. Here is wishing you all the very best. Coming from all of us here at Channel 5 and all of us right here on Open Your Eyes.
All right. Have a great day today, Gayla. We are going to go ahead now and take that break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service excellence in Belize, the Belize Bank
on, because you know you'll be entertained.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're now venturing off into our first segment for the morning. A topic very touchy, as a matter of fact. We know how it has resonated in the newscast a few times throughout the year. It's actually an update on the recent decision on the use of gill nets. Now, we've got two wonderful folks in to talk to us about it. As a matter of fact, we've got Dr. Percival Cho, who is the CEO in the Ministry of Fisheries, Forestry and Environment, and Sustainable Development. And Andrew Rowe, who is a member of the Gillnet Task Force. Guys, good morning. Welcome. It's nice to have you in.
Good morning and season's greetings.
Hey,
Thank you.
man. I feel Christmas on yourself. So let's jump on into it. It has been something that a lot of people have been talking about. It directly involves the livelihoods of fishers across this country, whether negative or positive. And folks would want to know exactly where we are at this particular point with the decision on whether to ban or whether to phase out, or whether to just say, you know what, just continue on with gill nets. At this point, where are we with this situation?
Well, you actually hit the nail on the head right there when you mentioned the word livelihoods and people's stake. So the decision really was initially thought, I guess, by stakeholders of either 1 or 0. It's a binary decision. I think people are saying ban or no ban. In reality, what the government decided was a down-the-middle approach. And I think that created a little bit of confusion. So that's why we're here today, to kind of clarify. What is the decision? It's to phase out gill nets over a period of time and make sure that while we're phasing out, that the livelihoods of the people who depend on the use of these gear is protected, and there's ways and means to do that. You know, for example, there's alternative livelihoods programs that can be enacted with the support of donors, for example, to basically transition gillnet fishers into some other gear or some other means of making a living, right? But that takes time, and it's a very careful process. There's a lot of nuances that one has to consider. So it's not a straight cut ban or no ban. It's a down the middle approach, first of all. But the idea is to ensure that people's livelihoods are maintained at the end, right?
Let's talk to the task force for a bit. So after the concerns were raised about the gill nets, there was this task force put together with representatives from different agencies. Andrew, you were there as the Fishing Association.
Yes.
And there were NGOs, environmentalists, and government representatives. Collectively, you were to look at the issue and put forward recommendations. Is this the recommendation of the task force?
So the task force worked along with the ministry, and it wasn't just NGOs, and it was also the fishermen, the gillnet fishermen were at the table, as well as other types of fishermen, because this is, as you pointed out, John, in the beginning, this is something that impacts every person who fishes across the board. So everybody was brought to the table, and I think it was an opportunity for everybody to kind of ventilate their concerns, to have a discussion and say, if we were to do X, then A, B, and C would happen. So it really did bring forward all of the issues. The task force also undertook an exercise to reach out to the public to gather information, so that we could understand, from the people, other than the people just sitting around the table, what is it that this does for you? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? How does it impact you? And a report was compiled at the end of it. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is it was difficult to say that this task force would ever come to a concrete decision, because you have people
on two opposing opinions on one force.
Exactly. So it's very hard to say that we would come together and say this is exactly what we agreed on. I think what the government has decided to do definitely encompasses both of what was being looked for. They're putting in measures that were offered up by a lot of the fishermen to put in some controls to make sure that gill nets can be used a little bit less, in a little bit less of a damaging way as we move towards, or as we move through this phase out process. And from the other side, the intention was from a portion of the Gillnet Task Force that they do intend, or we would like to see this GARE being, phased out eventually.
Yeah.
And which is the decision that the government has made. So now the opportunity has come for the NGO community and everyone else to jump in and say, hey, a phase out requires funding.
Yeah.
Economic alternatives don't come around by themselves. These guys are fishermen, but if you're going to train them to go from one type of fishing to another, they need to be taught, they need the resources, they need new gear. This gill net that they have, which may have been worth $1,000 now, may not be worth as much anymore. So how do you get rid of that gear? How do you compensate them for it? And how do you get these guys and women into some sort of alternative that's going to continue to make them money?
Yeah. So let's address some of the criticisms that have come forward by the people who've been proposing the ban. Firstly, one of the areas that has been articulated is the loss of funding that had already been raised to help with alternative livelihoods. I think the environmental sector, that they've clearly identified that being able to help people find a different way of making money if you're going to somehow make their particular method illegal was a necessary course of action. However, going this route, the money is no longer available. Let's start with that.
Okay, well, I'm sure Andrew has a lot to say on that as well, because he represents the Coalition for Sustainable Fisheries, who also had raised significant sources of or amounts of money to help with the transition, right?
If there would be a ban, that was the stipulation there.
Yeah. So I mean, the fundraising efforts, I think, were essentially they were twofold. There's two organizations that are raising money specifically to provide for funding for a phase out in whatever way. So there's the Coalition of Sustainable Fisheries, which is a group of various organizations from across the country that have come together who have this common goal of trying to remove the use of gill nets. And they, instead of acting in isolation, they came together and formed an NGO called the Coalition for Sustainable Fisheries. The membership is the Belize Game Fish Association, whom I represent. There's Yellow Dog Conservation Society, which is a big NGO out of the US. Turnef Atoll Trust. There's the Belize Tourism Industry Association, National Sports Fishing Association, Mar Alliance, and I hope I got them all. But the coalition has managed to raise $1 million Belize dollars to put towards this transition. Simultaneously, Oceana Belize has also been raising money, and I can't speak for them on what their decisions are, but they have also raised $1 million, and the use of that money is intended for a gill net buyback. Now, when we put forward our proposals, each individually, yes, both of them, Marlene, had in there that a ban needs to take place. So we understand that the government has clearly ventilated its position and where they are, that they intend for a ban to take place, but they're not going to push it. They're not going to set a definitive date. They're not going to push it through until they see that there's been successful transition of these fishermen. So at the moment, I think both organizations are speaking to the funding agencies that
well, because you can't disperse money that you've solicited under different terms.
Exactly. So now that I think we seem to understand where the terms that are being put forward, we're now trying to negotiate to see how we can make this thing work. And so far, it seems to be something that we're going to be able to get done.
I think one of the concerns of some of those folks would be the duration in terms of phasing out. So we've got our government who are saying, you know what, we are down for a phase out, but we've got this could be the political side of things, because we also have our opposition who would tell you that, you know what, why aren't we working along with the fishers? Why are the fishers not, if we know what Gillnet can do, we know, and what if, because we know next year is an election year, what if there is a turnaround and another party comes in and say, okay, this is the way we're going, then where do we go? I think this is part of the conversation that must be had, because what it does, it could create some confusion
How sturdy are we in terms of the phase out? I think that's a very important aspect I think to look at.
Well, it's important to mention that the decision of the government is to phase out gill nets if certain parameters are met, right? And one of the main parameters, like I mentioned, is the social well-being of the people who depend on this gear. And if some indicators, and I could mention a couple of them, for example, that there is a successful transition as demonstrated by individuals, licensed gill netters, who have pledged to give up this gear in exchange for obviously the support to transition to something else, right? One. And then two, when the number of recurrent licensees, people who come back and ask for a gill net license, reduces below a certain threshold. Those are good indicators that, listen, this gear isn't being utilized anymore. Folks have transitioned to something else. Now is a good time to ban the gill net, right? So those parameters, and there are many others that need to be met. Those things are, you would have to invest a lot of time and effort into achieving those. So in terms of a time frame, we think that is possible initially and within a 2-year period, but it depends how much effort is put into it and the willingness of the people who depend on the gill net to transition over, right?
You see, I think that's one of the concerns, I would imagine, in having this conversation multiple times with both sides. What is evident is that the number of people who are using the gill nets is small in comparison to the number of fishers. So you have the larger majority, it's up, what, 2,000, 3,000 licensed fishermen, and less than 100 gill net users. So you have the majority saying, I'm concerned that these practices, traditional be it, by these fishermen, less than 100, are going to cut into my livelihood. 2,400 versus 100. And we know it because we've seen the science, we've seen what gets trapped in a gill net. They've provided a lot of images. So you have a smaller group of people, and you're saying that you want to be able to ensure that they are able to maintain their livelihood. But it's almost like a low-hanging fruit that you have there when you're working with such a small population. And not putting in place a definitive timeline sounds a bit like kicking the can down the road rather than striking a real compromise.
Well, one can't discount the value of people's livelihoods, even if it's
not
5
even
or 10.
one, I agree.
Okay, so initially, one has to consider that. And in terms of a time frame, like I mentioned, I mean, we believe that this is possible within a couple of years. Cabinet was advised of that, and they agreed to that time frame. But the main thing is the parameters. It's not as if at the end of a 2-year period, a ban will be instituted, right? There are certain parameters that have to be met. I mentioned a couple of them. So in terms of now the willingness...
So you're going to issue new licenses for gill nets because you said the relicensing period?
Yes, because there isn't well, let me clarify. No new entrants. So it's a restricted amount of gill net licenses.
So the 80-something are the only ones allowed to use gill nets?
Right. And if we begin to talk about, say, maybe categorize the current licensees into different brackets, right? Some analysis has been done, both by the coalition and by us. And we have some figures in terms of proportions of individuals who we believe, the coalition believes, based on speaking to them, are very much willing to give up the gear.
If they can find another means of livelihood.
Right? And then you can categorize others who are more dependent on this as the only sort of gear that they use to fish. They've known it all their lives. That's the only thing they do. And those are obviously, you need more careful attention to that process to transition those individuals out, right? And so you have to look at it. There's a lot of nuances. It's not as easy as a ban or no ban, right? And I'm sure that the coalition, we had a nice meeting yesterday. They appreciate the
I hear what you're saying in terms of, and Andrew clearly articulated it. There were two different sides to this issue, and one being a smaller voice. I have to admit that much. But what I'm hearing is that the compromise is not going far enough. In other words, you're appeasing both sides, but with no definitive decision. Without putting a timeline for the ban, no one's under pressure to start to look for other alternatives. I think from
at least from the coalition and the funders' point of view, one of the things that we have accepted is very helpful. The ban, not having a definitive date, is challenging and is something that we have to work around. But the other side is that we have been engaged with these gill netters from the beginning. Not every single one, but the majority we have been engaged with. And you know, when the decision came out that there's going to be no definitive date, a lot of them called in and said, "Hey, listen, I'm giving up my nets regardless of what anybody says, and I want the support from you guys to help me do this because we don't see the future in this. We need to do something else because this is failing us. And either we're going to stop using it today and access funding to do something else, or we're going to be forced to stop using it down the road, and it will be at free, and we'll have to find out of our own pocket how to transition to something else." So a lot of these fishermen are saying, we want to do this. Now, if we can work around the parameters that the government has put in place, and we can start to distribute this funding, a lot of them, as Percival said, are going to be early uptakers excuse me, of these options. And we're hoping that we know that we have at least, you know, close to half of them are ready to go, you know, as soon as possible. We're hoping that when they start, the rest of them see, okay, you know, this is happening, this is real. A ban is on the timeline. Maybe it's not going to be at the end of 2020, but that is going to happen. And should I continue investing in my nets? Should I continue, you know, buying more nets? Should I, instead of doing all of these and taking on this expense, why not, you know, offset the expenses, get some money out of this thing, figure out how to, some of the options we have are to become a tour guide, figure out how to access deep slope fishing, which is it's a very new type of fishery for Belize, which has become very lucrative for a lot of the commercial fishermen, or access scholarships for my children, so offset the expenses that I have now by saying, you know, my kids' education will be taken care of, so that I don't have to continue to gill net fish. Most of the majority of in fact every gill netter only does gill net fishing for very small. It's seasonal. It's a small portion of the year, and
they do something else.
They do something else. So these guys they're fishermen at the heart. They're fishermen. So to take and you know, we say alternative livelihoods. We're not saying we're going to change you to become a farmer or a welder or anything like that. We're taking a fisherman and just teaching him a new way of doing fishing. It may be fly fishing, for example. And so there's a lot of options on the table, and we're hoping that by working within what the government has set, the parameters they've set, we can start this process, get it moving. We're hoping that, you know, the gill net fishers will encourage one another to get into it. I'm sure at the end of the day we'll end up with a handful who are just saying, you know what, no, this is the way I do it, and then it will be up to the government to decide how they handle it and what is a reasonable threshold, having considered that the majority have been transitioned.
You know, change is hard, but environmental decisions are tough.
Of course.
And you are aware of that. And as science and technology and everything adds to what we know and understand about impacts, you know, people are becoming more aware. It doesn't mean that we all move progressively in the same direction at the same pace. You know, when the ban on single-use plastic was implemented, there was pushback, but there was a definitive timeline. And it showed that when you have to make that decision, when you have to make that choice between what I'm going to use, where I'm going to source my materials from, I'm going to make it. And so that is the question. You know, there was the timeline put out for the single-use plastics. There's a lot of education that has gone along with that. We're approaching the date soon. You were looking at importation. So in other words, there are steps that take place in a ban that we're not seeing replicated in this, where we know the Department of Environment has the experience in putting all these things in place. So that's where I think there's still some unanswered questions. And I think what you've mentioned, Andrew, really points to the fact that if you already have buy-in from a percentage of the 80-something fishers, then you're already making some progress if you wanted to move towards a timeline. But you know, is there a decision as to when you're going to tie this down?
Well, that's a good comparison. Let me try and tease out some of what I mentioned again, nuances here. So with a plastics phase out, the approach was to set a date and then begin the process, right? And then use that date. We are over that date a little bit, but getting there. You know, there's legislation that needs to be drafted, things take time. That gave us, well, me especially, a clear lesson. You know, timelines are very difficult to meet unless you have a whole entire machinery in place to get us there, right? So now we're not talking livelihoods in the case of single-use plastics. In the case of gill nets, we are. So it makes it a little bit more complicated and a little bit more precaution required in achieving something like a gill net phase out, right? So just to be clear though, the decision, as the press release had stated last week, is to control and eventually phase out gill nets. That's the decision, right? There's a process to get there. So the word or phrase alternative livelihoods really conjures up something that we call social safeguards, right? So any environmental action that we take, any protection, anything, for example, building a road, it's not environmental action, but it's a development, right? There's safeguards that one has to put in place. If you're fixing the Western Highway, for example, you might have to move people, right? So you have to consider the safeguards that you have to put in place to afford those people some other place to stay, some other piece of land, right? So any action these days, we have to consider the safeguards, both environmental and then social. So this action of phasing out gill nets, obviously you have to consider the social safeguards. So that process itself makes it a little bit more, like I said, complex, right? Requires precaution.
But you know, like we mentioned, the situation of change is very difficult, especially if it is something that you've been totally used to over years. Because these guys came from years and years, and let me say generation. It is tradition. But the idea of a phase out when it comes to fishing or using gill nets, because using a gill net, you simply scoop up. Traditional fishing, you're going out there, you've got the patience, you need to. These guys would probably need to move from here to now. Where did the idea of a phase out come from? And have we shown these folks a proper example of what a phase out can do for them? Now I'm asking this because we've got countries like Jamaica, who, you know, I'm not sure if they've got their if they've banned any gill net or how their fishing situation is. But where did that idea come from? And in terms of the buy-in, that has to be the part that we strike gold at. Do they have information that they can read up for themselves so they can see, you know what? Yes, it is one of the best things for us to do in terms of a phase out. Where did that idea come from?
Sure. Well, I think, I mean, it's in discussion at task force level. We realize this isn't a clear-cut approach, right? It's not a 1 or 0.
It's not.
Right? So one has to take a phased approach, and we use the term phase out in that regard, right? And I'm not familiar with Jamaica and their gill net situation there, right? But in the case of us, I mean, it's clear looking at the environmental effects of fishing as a whole, both deep slope, both traditional hand line, and then net fishing. There are impacts to everything. But I think it's well understood that gill nets, because of how they operate, because you set this net and you leave it for a long time. It could be a couple hours, could be overnight, I don't know.
Up to multiple days.
Up to multiple days. It's not like a hand line. It's not you know, you're there, you're monitoring what you're doing, right? So gill nets obviously are, you know, can have very detrimental impacts. And I think that really sparked this whole thing. You know, obviously, right? And I think, you know, we settled on a phase-out approach as a government, and that set the tone for our partners, the NGOs, the fundraisers, everybody to understand clearly what the decision is, and then to work within that context, right?
And I think too that the folks who are representing the gill net fishers, at least in the public and in the media, are representing really the minority of the gill netters who are the hardcore holding back. There's a lot of gill netters who, like I said, they want this to happen. There's even in the coalition we have former gill netters who years ago transitioned to other
one was on the set.
And they're shining examples of, you know, they said this is not working, this is not the future for anybody. And so we, on our own accord, will go out and figure out how to get this, how to change. Now they were fortunate that they may have had the resources, the education and whatever to do this. And I think that by leaving this gear in place is really disparaging these fishermen. It's saying, you know what, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough to do something better for yourself. So that's why we have come along. We said these people need to be moved out of this because there's no future in this for them. They need to be given a better option so that we can all benefit from it.
And what about enforcement? I mean, let's be clear with the facts here. Gill nets are already very regulated. There's a specific size of mesh. There's a specific distance that it has to be from the coast. There are particular areas you can't use gill nets. Just in our newscast, I think we've probably documented quite a few times, or right here in the Belize City Harbor, there are gill nets that have been found. We found fishermen who come in and make reports that they find gill nets and they destroy them or take them out. We know that to have proper enforcement in our seas is a challenge. You're talking about human resources, financial resources for fuel. How are we going to manage it in the interim?
Right. Well, the issue of finances for enforcement is an issue for both a ban scenario and a no ban scenario, right? And I think it's more if it's a greater quantum on the ban scenario side, because you're talking about enforcing the laws, the gill net laws and the fishing laws across entire waters to look specifically for one particular gear which is no longer, in a future time, no longer usable, right? Now, we estimated, just running some figures, that an enforcement budget of at least $1 million Belize would be what is necessary to put in a level of enforcement that would, of course, achieve be a deterrent and achieve some level of success there. With regards to the illegal use of gill nets, I think we have to categorize it into two areas, right? Yeah. There's people who are licensed or might have a license for a gill net but using it wrongly. And there are those folks who don't have any licenses and then use the gill net irrespective, right? We think that enforcement is a major concern. It has been discussed at the task force level. I know the Fisheries Department right now, they're submitting their budget. They have a nice description, a nice request for new spending in there in relation to enforcing the fisheries laws in respect to any aspect of it. Gill nets, handline, protected areas, etc. Right? So we're looking at boosting that level of investment there. Of course, we have other partners as well, other donor agencies. We have all the various co-managers who work with us in enforcement. And then, of course, we have the Coast Guard, who are very much there by our side in the waters, enforcing the laws alongside us. Part of the decision, as you know, is to institute an immediate ban on use of gill nets below Punta Gorda, south of Punta Gorda. So we've been in consultation with the Coast Guard as to what latitude to use to institute that ban. So various enforcement partners are there at the table. We need to, I think, bring together everyone again and discuss how we can put together a nice strategy in relation to enforcing the fisheries regulations throughout the waters, inclusive of gill net regulations.
You know, I hear your example that you're giving, but I don't think that it's particularly accurate. I think if you imagine that grenades are not allowed in the country and the police see one grenade, they can confiscate it or remove it from wherever it is, versus having to go and check if it's licensed and who owns it and if that person has a license and if it's in an area that it should be. So I don't think that seems too accurate. The question I still haven't heard answered is simple. There's a compromise being made, and I think that is a great move. When you have two different opinions, the best thing to do is find the best workable compromise. But what I don't hear are definitive actions that will be done during this time. Any transition has a learning curve, but there has to be something that will show that you're making progress. And so saying a few things I've heard from you. One, so there's a ban below in the southern waters. Fishermen who are licensed will be able to continue to use it. No new fishermen can get licensed for gill nets. But those who are licensed can continue to do so until they are ready to transition and until that number, which we don't know, hits a low enough mark for a ban to be instituted. So there's just a lot of unknown variables here, and I'm just questioning, are we moving towards tying down the details? Because the devil is always in the details with things like this.
Well, those things you mentioned are exactly the activities that are going to be carried out during the phase-out period. There's one that we haven't mentioned yet, which is a decision to alter the net size, the legal mesh size that is allowable. There is some research,
You mean
some
like
studies
making
done.
it bigger, smaller?
Yes, larger. To
Okay.
suggest that a larger mesh size would be more or less harmful,
Yeah.
afford less bycatch. And I think we're going to move towards something closer to 4 inches
But
in
then what
terms of the
happened to
mesh
the
size.
smaller ones that exist now?
Well, those won't be usable anymore.
So it
Those
costs
would be illegal.
$1,000.
Yes.
That's obsolete, and I spent $1,000 to get a 4-inch one.
So that's part of the whole process. You know that I have a 3-inch mesh net today that I've licensed. Now that net is unusable legally. Of course, legal is a whole different thing. Should I take $1,000, $1,200 out of my pocket, or go borrow money to go buy a new net? Or why not take the opportunity to sell this into the buyback program and start on this economic alternative program? Why would I invest this amount of money into something that we can see, whether we don't have a date, but we know that this is going to become illegal? So why should I go and make this investment to try and earn back a little bit of money when I can go in another direction? I can take this net here that's now worth nothing because I can't get it licensed. I can still sell it off into this buyback program, get some money, and I can then I can choose one of these alternatives and I can start down that path. So we're hoping that that's one driver that will push these fishermen into deciding that this is a better option to take.
Yeah. And the strategy is clear, like Andrew outlined. But also, we understand that several gill netters, or most of them, have multiple mesh size nets, right? So 3-inch, 4-inch, etc. And this recommendation about the mesh size actually came from the gill net fishers themselves during the task force discussion. So we think that is obviously something that both sides are in agreement with. That the mesh side, obviously, the mesh size for continued use of nets has to change.
So what happens after this point? The task force continues? Are we going to... What's going to happen now?
Sure. So the added to the points that you mentioned is another decision that Cabinet agreed to, which is the establishment of a committee. Andrew and I and another partner discussed it yesterday. We're going to exchange some communication and try to set up this committee very quickly to really oversee, guide the transition process, ensure that the parameters are being met, and provide that sort of monitoring process as we go along the phase out.
Okay.
Well, sounds like there's still some stuff that
There's
has
still
to be sorted out.
There's still a lot that
here.
needs to be ironed out. Funding is still, I have to say, that funding is still not secured because the premise that we raise the funds on is not in place. So that is something that still has to be ironed out. But I think the positive is that the ministry is open to the dialogue. The funders and the people who are representing them are open to dialogue. We see that there is some, we might be able to line up our thinking, and hopefully if it works we can begin to move these people out of using gill nets and towards a ban that has to take place in order for the funding to be released.
Well, I do hope that we hear some more definitive details in the sooner rather than later future, because I think that striking a compromise is always a good way to go, but you can't leave everything up in the air, and it really does, based on your answers that you provided, it really does seem that there's still a lot of questions that have to be answered, and we don't want to isolate any family, but if we're going to go this way, I think we need to decide definitively that we'll go this way.
Well, like I said, the decision is definitive. There is a decision to control and eventually phase out gill nets. So I think that is definitive now.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we thank you guys so very much.
Thank you,
Dr.
guys.
Percival Cho and Andrew Rowe, thank you so very much for visiting this morning. And tell you what, as soon as we get to the ban, you guys will be welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Before that.
We're only kidding with you. But we'll take a break. And when we come back, we've heard of calendars, female. Well, I'll tell you what, calendars with male. That's coming up when we come back.
Belize Thanks, Chris.
And we're back.
Just like that. No, we do talk during the commercial break. So welcome back. It is a lovely Tuesday morning. We've got some lovely conversations for you. As a matter of fact, we're now venturing on into the launch of the 2020 Male Calendar. Haven House, they're doing a thing or two.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they're doing a thing or two or 12. We've got in with us Dr. Charmaine Saunders, who's the president of Haven House. We also have Dr. Shanna Pott, who is a medical doctor at Haven House. It says here as well. She's a representative. You know, representative? Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And then we've got two male models. We've got Marcus August and Andrew Norales. Guys, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
And it's so nice to have you in.
It's nice to be here.
I'll tell you why it is a good day. Your lipstick match your dress, match your shoes. That's a good day. But folks were actually looking. Please.
Yeah, I know. He just doesn't know what to do with male models on set. I gotta say that.
So
but I want to make sure that we get in one of the more critical points, which is Haven House and the work that they do.
Yeah.
Dr. Saunders, let's talk about that first.
Well, as you know, we are an agency and we're primarily focused on domestic violence.
Yeah.
We do have now an element of human trafficking, but our core competency is domestic violence and that fight for domestic violence. So we had an opportunity to partner with Dr. Pott with her idea of a male calendar. And we thought it was an awesome idea because the link between the two, as she'll share with you how the concept came about.
Yeah.
And our whole emphasis right now is on raising awareness.
Yeah.
And we thought if we could bridge the two or marry the two, raising the awareness, find some male advocates, primarily male advocates, because we do a lot of work with the women and children. And when you have some awesome guys, awesome body, and they are all about pushing the agenda against domestic violence, the work that we do, then it's a perfect marriage.
I really appreciate you saying that because men cannot be excluded from the conversation about domestic violence. So Dr. Pott, tell us about how you cooked up this idea.
Well, this all started on my social media page, actually. I did little entertainment with friends, and I was posting. Dr. Saunders was one who was always entertained. And I would be posting, these appealing looking men wearing watches, and I would be like, we're looking at the watches, not the men, and it would draw a lot of attention. And so I got to thinking, why not use this platform for something, for a great cause?
Yeah.
And as a doctor, I see the effect that domestic violence has on women and children.
Yes.
The trauma that they suffer. And so I just thought that it was, this is something very appealing that would bring about a lot of attention and bring attention to this great cause.
So looking at these men over here, I hear one thing that you said, and I don't want to miss it. You wanted to get men who would look good in a calendar, but also who are willing to be visible advocates.
Yes.
Okay, so with that as the premise, when you get a call or somebody asks and they say, we want you to be on calendar, but not just any calendar, a calendar where you will openly speak out against domestic violence. Your reaction is?
At first I was skeptical. And then...
Because of the body part or the advocacy part?
I guess it was for more the calendar part.
Yeah.
In terms of the advocacy, I don't have a problem with that because in nursing, I have to help, women and children and stuff. But I was only skeptical because I wasn't in the gym like these guys, So, but other than that, when Dr. Shanna explained it to me, I was well on board with it. I just asked when and where and how can I help you guys, and I did my part, and it was a success. So, like, for any upcoming events, like for next year, I would advise guys, participate. If you don't have the gym body yet, then you could hit the gym and prepare.
Could start one time.
There's actually a motivation up to that.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned, though, that's stuck out to me, you mentioned of what you do and helping families or helping children and families. You've seen this
What's your career path?
I'm a registered nurse.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
So that's what I wanted to bring out. I think that.
So you see emergency
cases. You see these things.
I've seen a lot of cases, but for cases with women, it has a different emotional effect on me as a guy. For example, if you scroll on Facebook and you see like a woman with a bruised face, and she's talking about what she's been through in her relationship, that kind of has a little effect. So I was like, let me help them with this.
Yeah.
Excellent, man. And a brother there, tell us about how you feel about this. You advocate, and was it because of the body, or was it because of advocating? Or what's the mesh between the both? Tell us about you.
Well, for me, it was more of the advocacy too. I have my mom, my sister, nieces, family and friends. Yeah. I won't want any of them to go through that. So if I can lend my voice or my body to a worthy task, worth it,
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. What does it mean to you at this particular point? You're actually on there, and then we know the work that Haven House does, and we've seen women who have been battered, who've been down that path with just ruthless men. What does this mean to you?
Well, I'm really grateful and appreciative to be a part of this calendar. More so because I know I'm fortunate enough that my family, they haven't been through this, but I know people that has been through it. So, yeah.
Nice. Excellent. And you're prepared for being held up to a standard now and say, okay, well, that means he'll be good to his wife or his girlfriend?
For sure.
All right, good.
So we made sure of that.
Yeah.
No, bringing these guys on board, we made sure that we had some great candidates.
That was the first filter, actually.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So the body, I mean the gym body wasn't. I'm on the dad body right. when they made the group chat, they didn't really require the physique and all that.
Yeah.
They were like, guys, the first filter is we hope you don't have anything like this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like.
Yeah.
So again, police
I appreciate that they held you
critical.
accountable to that, because it would be unfortunate if any survivor out there would see a perpetrator on a calendar that would just
this person.
And these days you just never know who actually does it. So I'm so happy to hear that people will get to look at good-looking men, but also men who are not representing that type of behavior. And that's something to be prouder of than your six-pack.
That's right.
Let's talk about the screening process and how you got these guys to be a part of it.
These young men, I know most of them, and then I met others through them.
Yeah.
They're like, Marcus is a nurse. I've known him for a while through our career paths. And we have a lawyer. We have these these trainers. And so I just reach out to them, the guys that I know. They're guys in the society, and they're different parts of life, but I know them. I know their character, and so.
How you wean them out to get to the final?
Did you have to cut down, or you just?
We had a few recommendations, because primarily once Dr. Pot identified some that she knew, and we still had some vacant slots. We started to do that domino effect, snowballing and asking around, and some of the guys knew other persons too. And in truth, the focus was on, I told Dr. Pat, I don't want to be involved in something that would conflict, and it could really set back the work of Haven House.
Absolutely.
Decades. Just one negative publicity, and they said, but that one did, and we know, there will be talk. And the other struggle I had with the concept too was to ensure that it wasn't raunchy. It wasn't raunchy. It's not promoting objectivity of
hypersexualization
and
of
all
it,
that,
yeah.
because it does set back the work that we do.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do, like, I get some comments of they needed to take off a little more clothing and stuff, but, but good humor, you know.
Yeah.
We still have to hold true to our voices and our voices in, you know.
Yeah. I'm just so glad you said that, because I was thinking to myself this morning coming into the show, you know, the worst thing you want to do is to criticize when it's done to women and encourage it to be done to men.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, why are they hypersexualizing women and then expect to have it be done to men. So I love that you said that, because especially because you're an organization that work with women who've just been put through the worst experiences of their lives because of gender-based violence. It's good to know that that was a consideration.
Yes.
And having a good physique, if you're a bodybuilder, that's part of what you show off anyway.
Yeah.
You had became one. It's 12. We got the full 12.
Yes.
Tell me what it was like when you all got together, or have you met, and when you realized you were going to be a part of this. This is a very unique idea for Belize. We don't very often see male calendars.
Well, like I said, for me it was interesting. I didn't really do shoots with these guys. I did mine separate.
Yeah.
So mine was straight to the point. I worked with Ernie before with a lot of shots. So he was just like, all right, let's get this, and this, and we're gonna work with that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And for you?
For me, I went on the main shoot. It was Saturday, so right. Yeah, and then working with the other guys, I was a bit nervous about coming out. I don't know why, but I guess I have a good body, but that was not the reason why. I was just shy.
Yeah.
So when I come out, I just heard one of the guys were like, you know what, I'm not to take off my shirt again. So I started laughing, and I'm like, okay, I guess that means something good. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So that just lightened room for me, and it was a great experience.
Nice.
Yeah. So, you know, I think Belican had their calendar. They had like 70 women audition to only get 12, and then we only got 12 men that you pulled together.
We had a few others, but we had to cut some.
So why do you think there's a hesitation for men to show up? You guys work hard, because you don't just get a six-pack by just exercising. You gotta eat right, everything.
He's still not sure about your six-pack.
Are you at 4?
I had my six-pack. I'm not that
Building physique, it takes work. So why do you think there's a hesitation for men to show it off?
I guess someone's not really comfortable in their body, I'm guessing.
I think with some guys, you know, like you could go to the beach or to swim, you're gonna take your shirt off, obviously. But for a camera and to know this is gonna be hanged up in somebody's house, I think that there's a different mindset that comes along with it. So there's gonna be a little bit of hesitation.
Okay.
You know what? I think what you guys should have done before getting in there, you should have told them, you know what? Every second guy a bouquet. It just simply means that they have something for everybody. Yes. You know, she told us about the studies during the commercial break, whereby there are people, you know, I first want that, you know, but there are a lot of women out there right now who are asking, how can they get this calendar?
Okay, so we launch on December 20th, and the launch is going to be at the Biltmore poolside, and we are definitely encouraging women to come out. The calendar is $20, and it's a contribution. And I want to say, from Haven House, we're really happy because we basically all the male advocates, they volunteered their time, their gorgeous physique, and they're supporting the cause. You know, my husband volunteered, and I didn't have to woo him anyway into the calendar. He's June, and I realized after going on the set with some of these guys, they suffer the same thing that we as women do. Oh my goodness! My husband had second thoughts. He was like, I hope it's okay, everything is okay. And
they have their
self-confidence, their own. And I never thought, and you know, I look at some of them and I said, but that's a perfect body in my view.
Yeah.
But for them, it's a whole different, even looking through the photos that we're selecting,
Yeah.
they're so, you know, it's, and that for me gave me an opportunity to see that, yes, we share the same value, the same goal.
Yeah, we
It's
normal
just,
too.
I know, I know, but I never thought that men thought about themselves. You know how we try to make sure we look representable and look good. Men worry about that stuff too.
Right, of course.
That was amazing for me. Yes, I know, but still, you know, on the aesthetic part of it, we look at them and we say, damn, God, you know, and they're not there either. They still struggle with the same things that we worry about and getting cold feet about doing it, and you know,
and the humanness of it, of being vulnerable.
That
kept been doing a countdown every day, and even on that, they're like, "But why this picture?"
Yeah, they're wondering why who selected that picture.
And for me, the pictures are, you know, perfect.
Yeah, that's really good to know, and I think having male advocates, as you say, is such an important cause. Important addition to the cause of Haven House. You said that the calendars are $20. Is this a part of fundraising?
Yes, it's definitely a fundraising. We tried to look for sponsorship. Dr. Pat will tell you some of our sponsors, our main sponsors.
Yeah.
But the sponsorship helped because nobody got paid to do this calendar.
Wow.
And if you're thinking about joining us next year, we don't have a big budget to pay. It's just a labor of love.
And for the cause.
Yeah.
You know, what it represents.
Of course, and I think that's the buy-in. It's for advocating for, and you know, it's not about being paid for it. You're actually helping out here, advocating
to keep the shelter
for,
open.
and you become now a role model to the younger guys. Meaning that, you know what, if you were thinking, or even if you grew up in the household, if you were thinking that it's normal to want to hit somebody, look, it's not the way to go. And this is what you guys are actually representing out there, being vocal about it.
Putting an end to domestic violence.
And we tried to do have a real diversity selection. We're looking for middle-aged guys too.
Well, he 45.
Yes, we want to show
everybody.
Yeah, so
everybody has their type.
It no matter. We just, I mean, if the message is the same, we want to encourage you to consider next year. You know, what sticks with me is that the true essence of what these guys are doing comes from the fact that they support their advocates for the work that we do. And that supersedes any gorgeous 6-pack, 8-pack.
And you know what? And finally for me, what it does also, because you might not, in fact, what it does also is that you're actually put on the spot. So if you're in a position whereby you get enraged because something happened, the first thought will come into your mind and say, you know what, I'm on that calendar. This is not supposed to be. So you know, you actually develop that. So I think that more men are supposed to sign up. More companies are supposed to say, let's have this, and then we advocate for the same cause. We're not supposed to hit each other. It's not supposed to happen. So great job on your part, and of course, great job on your part as well. And folks, you need to get into it.
Please share.
Tell us all about this launch.
Launch sponsors.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to thank Ernie Alpuche. He came on board almost immediately, and he was, he dedicated his time and his art to us. So he is a great asset to have on board.
He is.
We have two major sponsors who are Smart and Ocean Ferry.
Nice.
Supporting this. You know, and again, we led with our cause and the reason for this calendar. And while we were in Cayo, we got, you know, a lot of hospitality from Midas, Log Cabin.
Lovely. Excellent.
Okay. And so we have 12 Belizean men who are going to showcase themselves as male models in the Haven House calendar, but also as advocates against gender-based violence.
All right.
And we've had requests now. Next year we're going to try to start earlier because we've had requests from Placencia to come down and do a soft launch there. Corozal has asked us to do the same, and we believe that there will be different locations, and we will travel with the male advocates next year. This year it's too short of a notice to get them all at the different locations, but it's we may do Corozal. on Saturday with some of the models. But it's a great idea to take it around the country as well. The truth is domestic violence is everywhere.
Everywhere.
That's right.
That's
And
right.
so
That's
we have opportunities. People have reached out to us and say, hey, we'll provide the venue and you just come down with the guys and launch a calendar.
Excellent.
We want
Excellent.
And $20 is a contribution that helps to keep Haven House, the shelter, open to provide everything that you do to the families, and that's food, shelter, clothing. The kids are there. They go to school from there, and so it really is a safe house for people to run away from violent situations.
So December 20.
December 20th, the Biltmore poolside.
Why not you know the next building? Why you know the poolside?
Well,
we guys are probably the show off.
Yes.
So all I'm gonna be is just signing on.
Yes, it's an opportunity to take photos with the male advocates and autograph. Get your own.
Poolside. What time is that?
What's
6 to 10.
and the cost of entering?
No, there's no cost.
It's free. You just contribute towards the calendar.
Okay.
So it will be a night of entertainment, the launch.
But
You
of
get to
course.
meet the models, food and drinks on sale. And definitely we crave your support. We want the support of the public.
All right.
Right.
So you're going up next year on it?
I was trying to recruit him.
Volunteer.
Yes.
We'll do a background check.
We'll
We'll
check.
be sure.
I got a lot of cards, you know.
I remember when we spoke about the world is moving towards inclusivity, right?
Yes.
So now you fit the bill.
Extremely. No six-pack.
Gentlemen,
1, 2,
are
and
you
2.
ready for the exposure?
We're ready. We're definitely
You're ready for the exposure?
We're ready.
And when people found out that you were going to be a part of the calendar, what was the reaction?
Heart eyes on every social media.
Heart eyes, okay.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And for you?
They were like, it's about time there's a male calendar kind of thing.
Okay.
For the most part, yeah.
And parents were okay? Mom was okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a nurse, so.
You know the crowd. All right.
It's a good cause for anyone who objects. Ladies, thank you for coming in and telling us all about it. It's great to know that we have a male calendar that we can access with good-looking Belizean men, but also that we are contributing towards a good cause, and I love that part.
Christmas
so
gift.
thank you.
Oh yes. And you can pre-order as well. Just let us know on our Facebook page, and we can get your order.
All your gifts for your good friends, right?
Chris can do.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take that break now. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about holiday makeup looks. So that's coming up after the break.
Signing up for Smart's broadband got
And we're back. And
Just like that, we're back, and it's gonna be that time of the. It is that time of the year whereby people just get nice makeup up. Everybody look good for the Christmas parties. But there is a person, or there are people out there who actually could take care of business for you in terms of putting on your makeup. And that's where Adriani comes in. She can take care of business. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Pixie Faces by
Yes.
Adriani.
Good
It's nice
morning.
to have you in.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, you even have your mask here.
Oh.
Where the heck? So how has it been for you? The Christmas is here, and a lot of people want to look good.
It's been super busy. Up to the days of parties, people are just asking, still trying my luck. Are you available? I'm like, I'm trying to squeeze everybody in, but it's impossible, you know. But it's been crazy. Christmas season is so busy. Leading up to New Year's Eve, it's a lot of makeup, but it's fun. It's fun.
It's one of the time of years that people go all out to get dressed up, especially for the Christmas parties.
Yes.
So, and you get to make them look like they're glamorous.
Glamorous, yes, of course. They're beautiful already, but you know, they get a little enhancement, a little glitter, you know, so people, you don't burn glitter in your eye, but you could add it, you know, so, and you're gonna look extra beautiful. So, of course, that's when they take that time to really come and go extra. People who have never worn makeup, some of them come out like, I've never done my makeup before, please don't let me look like a drag queen. I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen here. You know, but they're excited and they really go all out for Christmas parties.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna be showcasing 2 looks, right?
Yes.
And we're gonna start with a neutral glam.
We're gonna do a soft glam. It's called soft glam. It's something, I mean, night makeup and day makeup is a little different.
Absolutely.
And you don't wanna show, I mean, you can. I do it. I show up with bright colors for the day for Christmas because that's my thing. But, you know, for the daytime, you don't want to look a little bit more softer. And for the nighttime, you don't want a little bit more glitter and stuff like that, you know? So we're gonna show you a little soft glam first that you can use during the day, or even if you're going to work or you wanna dress up before Christmas to work with your Christmas t-shirt and you wanna look nice. We're gonna do a little neutral glam, and then afterwards we're gonna look the party glam, my favorite, with glitter.
So definitely when you're thinking day, it's softer, it's not as dark, it's not as bright.
Definitely, it's more neutral, it's more light lips, glossy lips sometimes, you know. Pinkies, peach, light browns on your eyes, and it just makes you look beautiful, enhanced, nothing too much.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we have our model here.
Yes, we have
and
our
she's
model.
gonna do the soft glam for you. What's your name?
Gresslyn.
Gresslyn. Okay.
Yes. All right.
So let's get started.
Awesome. So I've already based her face because of the time. So she already has on foundation, concealer, and setting powder.
Okay.
And her eyes are already primed. I primed her eyes with an eye primer, and then I put a little hackies to put setting powder on your eyes. Because sometimes you see your eyelids look, the eyeshadows are like creasing or it comes off. Set your eyes with powder and you're good for the entire day. Some people call me, I woke up and I didn't want to wash off my makeup and I still have it on today. I mean, that's bad. It's bad, right?
And
don't
your
sleep with makeup.
dermatologist is going,
don't sleep with makeup. I always tell my clients, but you know, some of them like, no, I want to wrap my makeup tomorrow. And it lasts for them. They go to sleep, wake up. I would have not to, but you know, some of them are like,
no, it's true though. I've heard this one before. I've actually known people who do their eye makeup the night before and wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So to start off our glam, we're going to go into a little pinky color. This one is called Love.
Okay.
And we're going to go and we're going to take a blending brush. It's more of a fluffy top. And guys, I'm going to use colors that you could probably find in any little palette that you have. So you could do it yourself, you know.
Okay.
So we're going to start off, and what we want to do is around her crease here, we're going to be doing a transition color. This is called transition color, right? So we're going to go, and where her crease line is, we're going to start and putting that pinky color on the corners and in the crease.
Okay.
We're going to slowly blend it in. You want to go in little circles because you don't want it to look like you stomped on some color and not blended, right? You want to look nice, blended, and smooth. All right. So we're gonna start on the corner here again, and then we're gonna make our way in the crease.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do little circles again on the side.
And it softens out the color, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't see where it starts and where it ends, and that's the goal. We don't want to see a line here that your eyeshadow starts here and it stops here, right? We don't want to know.
Zoom on my eye makeup.
We don't want to see that. We want to know that you blend it. And it just looks beautiful and soft.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a reason you start from the outside going into the...
Yes, because this is the darker color I'm going to use. So you don't want to put dark colors on the inside unless you're doing a smoky eye. But For this look, this is a light shade, but this is also going to be the darkest that's going to be on her eye.
Okay.
So we're going to just do on the corners, whatever the dark shade you're using, that's going to be on the corners, and then we're going to blend it out on the inside.
So what are some of the in colors right now for the season?
Well, for Christmas, holiday, and glam, there's always gold. I've done maybe, last week I did 11 people and about 9 of them were gold eyes.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And the last one came and she did red on her eyes. I was like, yay, a
Something
little
different.
different.
Yeah.
Do you recommend it?
I
or-
recommend to them, but you know, a lot of them are wearing gold. Gold is a color that's in.
Yeah.
So, you know, they want to look good and they want to match what they're wearing. So if they're wearing black and gold, I wouldn't really put black on their eyes. So I would suggest, okay, let's go with the gold and a red lip. That's the holiday, like staple look. Gold eyes and red lips.
And lots of lashes.
And glitter.
Yeah. So you talk about matching the makeup to the outfit. Is that something that you find everybody does? Or?
No, not everybody. But more when they have on color, yes. Because it would look a bit weird to be wearing like a pink dress and like purple eyeshadow. But when you're wearing darker colors, it's more, you have a more option to change color.
to play around
you know, it
with.
matches, or like white. You know, you could be more adventurous.
Yeah.
All right, so her eyes are blended out, and as you can see, it's nicely blended. And then on the inside, we're gonna do pink again. And so I'm gonna take a brush that we are going to pack on some color.
So you're gonna what?
Pack on. So a little hack again is if you want your shimmers to look really nice, you spray your brush a little. And I'm using a flat brush, so I'm gonna spray it. And that makes your shadows look more poppy.
Yeah. It also means you won't get any of that glitter dust all over.
Yes, definitely. So this is the pink, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it in the front, the inner corners.
Okay.
I'm gonna pat that on.
Ooh, pretty.
And again, on the corners, you don't want to really just put it on. You want to, at the end, just do kind of little blending just so that it blends into the matte, right? Because we're now putting on a shimmer.
You know, for me, I'm just listening to the lengua. Put it on the mat. I hope no I don't have tiles. Hoping not. So,
Yeah, there is a whole language. I won't
know,
even
I'm
lie.
just-
There is.
You may feel isolated right now.
Shimmer.
Shimmer has a little glitter, right?
Yeah.
A little glitter sheen.
Don't feel bad. I was,
You know,
I was
I
as
mean-
lost the first few years I did the show. It's like, what's the difference between the inner corner outer corner?
You know the inner corners on the inside?
Corner, your eye.
It's like my eyes don't have corners.
But you know, this is a fun
But
aspect.
this is why it's always, and I think that's probably, I could only imagine how women love going and getting their makeup done
Yes.
because so few of us know how to do it and do it well, right? We
Yes.
all try, but not everybody has your talent. So they go for a Christmas party and they're
Yes.
like looking their absolute best.
You know, a lot of people can do makeup, you know, they're little basics, and that's nice, you know, they do what they prefer, and there's no right or wrong way to do makeup.
Yeah.
But when you want to, you know, get that extra glam,
Yeah.
maybe you don't have all the products, so you don't want to buy all the products for one night.
That's
So
true.
it's easier to just go and get your makeup done, because you're not going to go buy a palette with all the glitter, and you're going to use it one time.
That's true. Or even the proper brushes or like,
Yup.
and very few. That technique is a lot harder than it looks, let me just say, right?
All right, so as you can see, she has on her shimmer and her matte. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more of the matte on the corners to blend out everything together now.
Okay. So this is an easy look.
Yeah,
that
this is
you're
easy.
like-
This is 2 colors.
Yeah.
Nothing complicated.
Yeah.
2 colors. One, your side and into your transition, and then you put on a little shimmer. And then since it's Christmas, you know, even if it's a neutral glam, we still want a little bit of glitter, but nothing too crazy.
Okay.
So we're gonna add a little bit of pink glitter.
What?
So that was shimmer, and now we're going to glitter.
This is glitter.
So,
Glitter
yeah.
is awesome. Glitter is my
looks
favorite. So we have a little pink here. It's a little lighter, and I'm not gonna add a lot. I'm just gonna do it so as a slight shimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Christmas, and it's day glam, but you still want to look a little, you know,
Extra.
extra. So it doesn't add too much to the eyes, just little speckles of glitter. So you look nice and, you know, you're ready for the day. You're ready to be that person at the family event with the glitter on their eye.
Family event.
Nice. That's pretty.
Yeah, so this one is a lighter glitter. It's just like a little holographic, so it doesn't really look like too much unless the light reflects on it.
Yeah,
So, you know, it's a good little daytime. So we're gonna do under her eyes now, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of the pink and I'm gonna mix it a little bit of brown. I don't usually use eyeliner on the eyes because it makes it look a little bit too heavy.
Okay.
So I usually just blend out some eyeshadow. We're gonna put that. And this will add to the softness of the eye.
Okay.
Nothing too heavy.
Like, that get me nervous because I'm afraid of diggy eye. I get nervous.
Don't be nervous, she's good.
Okay then.
And if you want to try out, I wouldn't dig your eye either.
I mean, do you want us to do some under eye stuff and maybe you see what it feels like?
My wife, yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
All right, so we're gonna add a little bit of inner corner highlight now.
Okay. So we're talking here soft,
Another corner. You hear how many
Yeah,
corners?
this is
Yes, I have, yes. Lots
Yeah.
of corners there.
So her inner corner is at the little tippy corner of her eyes right here. We're gonna add a little bit of highlight, which will make the eyes look a little pop. Nothing, again, nothing too much.
Okay.
Just a little to add some dimension to
And
it.
what color did you use? Just
This
anything
one-
sparkly?
Yeah, I'm using a little pinky highlight. I'm using any highlight will work, whatever you choose. This one is Kitty Cat.
Ah, kitty cat.
All right, so it adds a little dimension there. All right, so her eyes are now done, and we're gonna add mascara last.
Okay.
But now we're gonna go and finish her face now because she has on her base.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little bit of light contour for her, and then we're gonna add a little blush, a little soft highlight, some lip gloss, and she's gonna be good.
Okay.
All right.
Some of this and some of that.
So I'm gonna be using this brush. This is
Okay.
a little contour brush. You see it's like flat and long.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be using a little brown. And for contour, you use like 1 or 2 shades darker than your skin tone. Nothing too dramatic. You don't look like you have mud on your face, right?
All right.
And so we're gonna just do light again to the circles on her cheek. To really, and contour is really just to create shadows on your face and to make it look more snatched.
Alright, I try, Mara, I try.
You know, I'm just thinking that you should really pay attention because there is this this viral trend that's going around, and perhaps I'll challenge you to it, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, where the men apply the makeup for the wives because
Yeah.
they've seen them do it so many times,
Yup.
or that you do the voiceover for their makeup tutorial. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Where the
It's so
husbands do
funny.
the
I think I could do the
It's like
voiceover.
I take the brush and I
Yeah. And she's putting all this
hilarious.
creamy
Yeah, I
thing
could
on
do
her
that
face.
She's putting on more makeup.
All right. So she has a light little contour. Again, nothing too heavy because it's daytime. And at night you can be a little bit more extra to your contour because the night light is a little different.
Yeah.
But for daytime, so we're gonna add a little bit of blush now, and we're gonna get our blush brush. This one.
Okay.
And we're gonna mix these two because these are light colors and she's a clearer skin. So these work. When it comes to more darker skins, we use more like purples and brighter pinks or like peachy browns.
Okay.
So we're gonna add a little bit. And we're just gonna slowly. Another little thing, guys, when you're doing blush for everybody, please put it on the side of your face. Don't put it on the apples of your cheek because it makes your face look a lot more fatter, even if you're small. So you don't want to look like you're walking around with 2 red apples on your face.
It's not a dolly face.
Yeah. So I always tell people, blush is not for you. Blush is for people watching you. So you're gonna put it here.
Yeah.
Right? If you look in the mirror and you're seeing your blush, then you have it in the wrong place. So we're gonna put it here. And it's for everyone to see, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it helps with your face. When you put it on the side, it lifts your face up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it makes you look even more beautiful. So that's a little bit of blush for her. And now we're gonna add my favorite thing is highlight. So we're gonna get a little highlight brush. And the same color that I use on her inner corner, I'm gonna use a little bit on her cheekbones. So highlighting, when that light reflects on you, you're gonna be shimmering. All right,
So we're talking about a 20, 25 minute or half hour process for light.
Yes.
Okay.
so glam is gonna be?
Well, the entire process takes sometimes between 45 to an hour, and if you want loose glitter and all that extra, it takes like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want us to twirl in the morning now? Huh?
No.
Okay, good.
But we weren't talking about face stuff. We just,
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that. The two things that would make my life a lot easier, right? And we just agreed on it, that there could be like a face stamp.
I agree. I totally do.
Because they're nail stamps, they're like eyeliner wing stamps, just like a makeup stamp.
So we're gonna go in with the lips, and we're using a light pink color as well, and we're just gonna line it and slightly put it on the inside, and we're gonna put a little gloss. So it's gonna be more on the outside of the lids, the line.
Ooh.
And we're keeping it light because we're gonna put, this one is gonna be more of a little glossy lip.
So we're going with a pink tone all overall.
Yeah. It's gonna be nice and fresh. Woke up like this. All right, so the pink is on, and then we're gonna do the top layer with a little pink gloss.
So you said that someone wants to consider giving allotting at least an hour, 15, hour and a half to doing their makeup for their glam day. And I'm pretty sure this weekend is going to be a tough one for you, but do you still have space left for?
No, I am.
Saturday, no.
I've been booked from probably November.
Yeah. Really?
Yes. As people find out their Christmas party date, some people, this girl messaged me in this October, and she's like, I don't know my date yet, but please save me a space. I'm like, I need to know the date. And I don't know what date to save it.
Yeah. But New Year's Eve, because that's also a big glam day?
Yep. Yes. I still have space for that day. So
okay.
If you need makeup,
book now.
Because everyone's been focused on their Christmas party.
That's
Usually right before, after their Christmas party, they would message and say, you know, I need New Year's Eve. So I'm halfway there, so I have a few spaces left.
So book now if you want that space.
Basically.
Space and glam. So which one is much more with much more glam? Christmas party or New Year's Eve party?
I'll definitely say the way the trend has been going now, Christmas parties.
Really?
Yeah.
Before it was always New Year's, always, but now the new trend, everyone they wear their New Year's Eve glitter dresses for their Christmas party.
Yeah. No, people go all out for Christmas parties.
All right.
All right. So that's it right there?
Yeah, and we're gonna add a little mascara. Now, of course, we have to spray her face because we want to set that in so it lasts all day and you're not melting away.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna add some mascara.
So you want to look right this way so we can see what the full face looks like.
Okay.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what John's
I just love that John's so thoroughly fascinated. He didn't know all the work.
No, that's a lot of work. And this is just the slight glam.
Yeah, this is
That's because she had half of the work done coming in.
Yeah. So we're gonna spray her face, and what she's gonna do is close her eyes, and this is gonna make her makeup look like your skin.
Yeah.
Because you know when you're finished, you have a little powder all over because you want to set your face. This makes your makeup look like it melts in and looks beautiful and sheeny and natural.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
All right. And then what we're gonna do, what I usually do to make sure that really melts in, I take a little sponge and I really stamp it in there. Because I want it to look really, I want that setting spray to really get in and last so that while you're dancing and you're partying,
You're not melting, your face isn't melting.
Yeah, your makeup is still beautiful. So this is our little soft glam look.
So which camera is she? Over here? All right, so let's give that full look. You just look right into that smile. You're all ready to go out.
You lick.
She's ready for
just at 8 a.m. in the morning. Oh, 8:30.
She's like, she has work today. She's like, I'm gonna go to work with a full face.
Soft glam. I
Yeah.
like it. All right, that's lovely.
All right. So we're going from soft glam into full
glam.
All right. So we have our other model coming in now.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Welcome.
All right. So come on in, and she is dressed for her party. So this is a good tip. Should they come dressed already, or does it matter?
It depends on what your time frame is and what time your makeup appointment is.
Yeah.
Because some people have makeup appointments from 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
Oh, then
for
you
the
clearly
evening.
can't be dressed, yeah.
But if you have a later time, you can come dressed. You know, we just put on the cape over you so you don't get dirty. And then, So again, with her face, she has on her foundation.
Yeah. Okay.
She's prime, foundation, concealer, and setting powder.
Yeah.
And her eyelids are set. So what I'm gonna do?
So I think we're gonna have to trim down, maybe do one eye, or at least like just kind of half.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then she'll finish your lip.
And I'll finish-
Just
yeah.
for time, we gotta do the TV version.
All right.
So what I'm
here
gonna
we go.
quickly do, because we're dealing glitter, we're gonna put some setting powder under here. This is another little hack. If you have your base done already, you just put some setting powder so that when you're done, you wipe it away. And
And it
no
doesn't
glitter.
matter that it's a lighter color, so
This is,
people shouldn't be worried.
Yeah, this one is yellow, so it's good for more brown skin tones.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have the white one, which is for lighter skins. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a classic holiday glam look, which is a brown with gold and some red lips and glitter. So we're gonna take a blending brush and we're gonna breeze through this one quickly. It's the same process, just at different colors.
Clarity, because you've been doing this so much these days.
Yeah.
This is like autopilot for you, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna take a lighter color, and on her lids, we're gonna be putting that in a transition shade, right? So brush away that first.
That's a smoke.
So we're gonna go with a lighter shade up here, and that's in her transition shade, just for everything to be very smooth out.
It, you know, it properly blends with her skin. That's what I like about it.
And then we're gonna go with a little more burnt red orange tone to go on the outer corner.
Burnt red orange?
Yes.
Because I consider what a burnt red. Oh.
It looks like a little brick red, but it has a little hint of orange in there. So.
Last me again.
All right.
These
so we're gonna
colors.
put that in the corners here.
All right.
And then we're gonna be blending, just like we did with the pink one, we're blending on the inside.
But it's amazing how it blends with, like, that, just amazing.
No, it's her technique. It's not that easy.
Really?
Yeah, it's really not that easy. But you know, I'm giving you
And
guys
how
some little
quickly she
tips. So you
does
do
it.
little circles and you'll be sure to get a little better blend.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and then what I'm gonna do is a little darker colors on the corners, which is a brown. And you can use one brush for all of this, guys.
So because you're going from your lighter shade up to your darker shade.
Yeah, once you're doing just your face and you have a brush, you know, you could use your one blending brush and you just go and add the transition shades and the darker colors on it, and
just don't go dark to light.
yeah, because it's not gonna work, especially when you're blending the top part.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work out for you. So we have the darker on the shade, and you see how quickly that blending that we took a while to do just now, because it's not so, doesn't take so long when you really have the idea of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just blend out and blend
So
out.
let's review colors. You did a brown transition, which is, it means just that color is close to her skin, a little bit darker.
Yes.
in
So
the
because
middle.
what you're doing on the crease, you want to make sure that when you do that, it blends out with the color at the top, so it
Yeah.
doesn't look like you're stamping on a color
Yeah.
again. That's too dark for your skin.
Yeah. And then you went to a brick red and then a bit of a dark purple?
A dark brown on the corner.
A dark brown, yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna do now is a little gold.
For glam, we need sparkly. Are we going shimmer gold, glitter gold,
We're
glitter
doing
gold?
Glitter and shimmer.
Okay, good. See? I'm learning.
All right, so I'm gonna go in with a gold and I'm gonna quickly spray my brush again.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna go in with this gold here.
That's such a great tip.
Oh, that's, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this one, and we're
pretty.
gonna add glitter over this one, but we're gonna put this as a base.
So you don't want to just put on glitter. You have to have a color underneath.
It would be better because it makes it pop. If you
Yeah.
put just a glitter, it'll look like a little glitter sheen over a color. It might not as much pop. But if you put the color of the glitter that you want at it, So we're gonna put this on the inner corner, and sometimes we do a cut crease, but that takes a little bit more time.
I don't know
so,
what a cut crease is.
It's like you put concealer on and wear exactly, and it really makes the color pop. You know, it gives it that sleek look. But if you're on time, if you're running with time as well, you could wet your brush with a flat top, and this also gives you that little line that you're looking for on your lid. Look at that go. It's popping. All right, so we're gonna blend that out here and here. And now we're gonna add some glitter.
That's a beautiful color.
And usually you need glue with glitter, but if you have pressed glitter, then it's easier. But if you have just regular glitter, you can use eyelash glue, the clear one, stick it on your eyes, and then you put the glitter and it's gonna be good. But this one here, we just have to add it to the eyes because we don't need glue for this one. Same brush. So I'm just gonna go in and we're gonna be adding this glitter.
Oh, now you've seen the glam come out. Go ahead, take a look. Okay, so now you're responsible for the voiceover. Go ahead. And now?
And now what are we doing?
Go ahead, John.
Voiceover.
Let's go.
We're adding glitters to the eyes.
Go ahead. Tell us the technique. You've done this so many times. You should have learned something.
Yes, and she's actually going into the corners. Yes, as she swipes on the glitter.
Swipes on the glitter.
Okay, continue.
What is this there to see? All right, there's some mustard-looking color under the eye. Yes, eyebrows look okay.
And
There's curls from her. Okay.
All right.
No, we're talking makeup technique. You failed. I had so much higher expectations for you.
Now that the glitter is on, this is her beautiful glammed eye. And if you can see a little sprinkle of glitter, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna brush it off, and that's gonna bring her face back to what it was before. So you could look up, your eyes. So we're gonna brush that off, and her face is back.
Did you do any color in the under eye?
Not as yet.
Oh, okay.
We're moving the setting powder. So any little fallout that had come, even from the eyeshadow or the glitter, it removes when you remove that.
Oh, that's how you put the powder. Cool.
Yeah. So now we're gonna do a little under eye, and we're gonna do a brown because she has on a little darker color on the corner. So we're gonna do brown on the under corner, the bottom lash line, to make her eyes pop. And of course, guys, this is something you could easily do. 3 colors and you just add a little glitter and you're glammed out for your party. A little DIY. I'm gonna put some highlight on the inner corner, and then her eyes will be done.
Oh, that's pretty.
One of the brush missing. Oh gosh.
Don't worry, have another one.
Which one is she looking for?
A little small.
A little small one.
Okay, don't worry. We're gonna make this one work.
All right.
Every time I'm doing makeup sometimes, and then I'm like, where's this brush?
Oh.
And it's right there. All right. So now we're just gonna quickly add her contour, blush, and her lips, and we're gonna be done.
Let's see. Oh, she's so lucky to choose those naturally curly lashes.
Yes. So we're gonna add her contour, and same thing, little small sweeps, little circles.
Look at that shimmer. On your eyes, that is. Not the color she's applying. Yeah.
All right. And
Next
for her little blush.
Are you gonna go back to your voiceover tutorial?
Not as
Oh, come on, John.
So we're gonna add this color to her.
Okay.
Okay.
And this has a little shimmer in it. It's the blush.
It's a peachy.
Yeah, it's a peachy pink and
peachy pink.
Peachy pink, right? And we don't want, it has a little gold in it. We don't want her to look ashy, so we're gonna get a color that really blends in.
Yeah, look good, not ashy.
We don't want to look ashy. That's never.
And as you're saying at nighttime, because they're usually there's a bit different lighting, you could go with a lot of shine, a lot of shimmer.
You can.
Just.
So I'm gonna be using this color and this, a mix of 2 of them for her highlight.
Yeah.
Highlight. This is my favorite part.
Really? You just said that when you were starting.
Always my favorite part. But I really love highlight. This is one of my first makeup love. Highlight.
Yes.
When I first learned about highlight, I had it here, everywhere. All right. So now what we're gonna do is add a little bit of mascara to her.
Okay.
Lips, and then we're gonna spray her up and she's gonna be glammed.
All right, so we'll have you do the finishing touches and we'll have the final look. What we do have to do at this time is take a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up and we'll reveal to you the nighttime glam look that we've been working on. So please do stay tuned.
Belize Bank's Chris.
And we're back. And there you go. That's our full glam look for any event that you have coming up. And as we said, this was actually a quick version. This is a do-it-yourself version.
Do-it-yourself version.
And you know, I think Adriana, you gave us some great tips as to what to use, how simple it is. Sometimes we really overcomplicate the process.
Yeah, definitely.
And you don't have to do that.
Yeah, right. You just you do what instead? Tell me.
You just take your time and do your thing.
Yeah, put it in the corners, right?
Corners, and you could use
and you put it in the corners.
You could use burnt orange.
Yes.
We are learning.
Perfect. You have good makeup
but
language.
you look beautiful. What's your name?
She's lovely.
Jeffon, you look
Yes.
beautiful, and thank you for being our model today. Adriana, thank you as well.
are more than
I'm
welcome.
sure a lot of ladies at home have picked up a few tips as to what they can do to dress up for the holiday season.
That's right.
She's booked out for this weekend, but if you want New Year's Eve, you might be able to get a space with her. That's Pixie Faces. It's on Facebook.
Yes.
All right, so get in touch. But that's all the time we have,
Yep,
John.
we need to go. We need to go. Give us a buzz if you've got any questions, any concerns at oye@channel5bleeze.com.
You can also drop me a line at Marlene_OYE at channel5bleeze.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE Belize. Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right. As per usual, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.